Hello and welcome to part 2 of Module 4, Data Analysis. What is data analysis? First, it's a continual process of reducing information to find explanations and patterns in your research. Second, it's exploring the answers to questions where you don't know the answer. And third, it's looking at the results to get new perspectives on your teaching. Keep in mind that you don't have to do all of the data analysis at once. In fact, it's better to do the data analysis as you go about collecting data. So you can begin your data analysis right now. What goes into data analysis? You're conducting action research, which of course is different than traditional research. In action research, there are many items that give us information we can use in our data analysis. For example, our inspiration, intuition, the well-known teaching methods we use, your informed decisions and procedures. These all give us information that we can use to analyze our data. There are 4 steps of data analysis. The first step is organizing the data. The second is exploring the data. The third is comparing the data. And the fourth is reflecting on the results. I want to say and point out that we have clarified these 4 steps from the ones Ann Burns lists out in her book. And also keep in mind that these steps may have some overlap. That's something you may find out as you go about doing your data analysis. The first part is organizing the data, and that's what we'll focus on in this video. To organize your data, you'll need to go through these 3 steps. A, gather all the data. B, sort the data and match it with the desired outcomes. And C, find major themes and patterns by reading through all of the data. We'll start with gathering all the data. In Module 3, you completed a data collection plan where you outlined some of the data collection types you'll use in your action research. Collect all these together. You can also include your notes, transcripts, journal entries, teaching log, lesson plans, or any other information you think will be helpful in analyzing your data. Next, you're going to want to sort through the data. In order to do this, you need to read through what you've collected and then sort your data into categories based on your desired research outcomes. Throughout these modules, we've used the example of the teacher doing action research to increase her students' reading comprehension. Here are her data collection tools: observations, student checklists, teacher journals, interviews with students, assessments of students, and student written reflections. Now the teacher needs to sort through the data. In the right-hand column, we have the data the teacher has collected. In the left-hand column, we have the desired outcomes she has for her students. To sort through the data now, we have to figure out which data helps the teacher know students have achieved the desired outcome. So for example, which data can she use to see if students have experienced growth in their reading comprehension? Assessments, especially because the teacher conducted pre, during, and post assessments throughout her action research. Which data can she use to determine the strategies students are using or not using? Observations, checklists, and individual interviews. The teacher could use observations to determine what reading strategies the students were using. She could also use checklists to see which reading strategies the students said they were using. And she could also assess this through individual interviews by asking students which reading strategies they were using. And finally, what about the third desired outcome? Which data can she use to demonstrate true understanding of the reading, the student's true understanding of the reading? Individual interviews and student written reflections. During student interviews, she could check student understanding of the reading by asking in-depth questions, and she could do the same by looking at the student written reflections as to what their understanding of the reading passages are. Once you've finished sorting your data, the next step is finding themes and patterns. You start this by reviewing your initial and your revised questions. Then you start going through your data and look for broad patterns, ideas, or trends that seem to answer your questions. Look for unexpected discoveries. Remember, the results might not be what you expected, and that's valuable information too to consider. Let's go back to our example. Our example teacher first looked at the assessments she took with her students. She noticed that they could answer informational questions, but there were many students that had difficulty answering higher order thinking questions. When she looked at the interviews and the observations, she noticed that students spoke of the same few strategies that they used. It was hard to observe which reading strategies students were actually using. And she also found some unexpected discoveries. Like, for example, she found that some students were frustrated with change in her teaching style in class. At this point, we're going to stop. Now it's your turn to organize your data. So you need to go through these 3 steps. A, collect your data. B, sort your data and match it to the desired outcomes you have for your students. And C, look for themes, patterns, and questions by reading through the data. Use your data analysis tool, handout 4.1, and fill out columns A through C. Once you've completed this part of your handout, you can post your themes on the COP Blackboard site. Also, try to pose a question about another member's themes. These 2 items are your first assignment, and this assignment is due on Monday, April 10th. Thank you.